Today's topic is the repair of provisional restorations. Here we have a 5-unit provisional restoration extending from tooth number 6 all the way to tooth number 10. And the problem we have is a fracture between 8 and 9. And if you turn just toward the camera, you can see a line right here, and the fracture itself is, with this piece out, rather obvious. But that's not all there is that needs to be repaired. Also, if we look critically, we have a little bit of exposed tooth structure right at the gingival margin on tooth number 7, and this needs to be covered to protect it while the laboratory work is being done. So, we have two things to do: to repair the fracture and to repair this margin. Now, some of you may be thinking, oh, then that's going to necessitate a reline of this tooth to catch that margin. And that's certainly a possibility and would work, but it's unnecessary. If we were to reline this, we would have to take a burr and grind out about 1/2 millimeter of the total interior surface of this, fill it up, put it back in position to catch a new margin by relining. But all we're really missing is this outer edge, and the rest of it fits fine. It's in occlusion, and it has good proximity and good approximation to all the other margins. So it makes more sense to simply replace the little piece that is missing and then not have to worry about adjusting the entire occlusion. Now, the first thing that I'm going to show you here is that an attempt had been made to repair this fracture, but it didn't work very well. If we take out the two segments and hold them together so that you can see the lingual view, you'll notice right here that there's a piece of acrylic or of some sort, and actually this is a composite resin restoration, so it's a piece of composite that was used for the repair. And if we approximate the two pieces, you can see that it was basically smeared into the joint without making any alterations in the surfaces of the two teeth. It was an add-on. And it was a successful add-on in the sense that it was within the appropriate contours for occlusion. It wasn't hyper. But an add-on has just as much possibility of breaking as the original joint in the first place. What we really need to do is an intercoronal repair. So, the first thing that I will do then is just remove this add-on and get back to proper tooth contour. And I'll do that using the customary implementation that's used for contouring composite restorative materials. And after that's done, I'll be back. We're back, and as you can see, the lingual contours of number 8 and number 9 have been restored to their original shape. To be sure, there's an area missing on the mesiolingual line angle area of number 9, and that was fractured off a long time ago. But the over contour that was on the mesiolingual of number 8 is now gone, and that's back to normal contour. Now, the way that this is done is I'm going to prepare Class 2 looking preparations into the mesial and palatal surfaces of both of these teeth. And to make certain that they line up properly, I am going to take a pencil. This is a pencil. And mark on the palatal surface where the teeth line up close together. A little line there, and a little line there. Because it would be rather silly to prepare the slots and then put them back in the mouth and find that they don't line up side by side. So there we have the two little marks. Can you see them?
Yes, we can.
Excellent. Okay, now we'll go back over here and do the preparations, because certainly these are not going to be done intraorally. All right, I'm now going to begin the first Class 2 preparation, and this is in tooth number 9, which is an abutment. As you can see, a tooth lives in there. Now, while I prepare this, if this burr should happen to pop through into the inside of the crown, I'm not concerned. What I would do then is to take an explorer, and any little debris that lines up on the inside is removed so that it seats right back down on the preparation, and then the repair will obviously fill that and complete the inner surface of the material. So here we go. I'm going to drop the box into this mesial area. And then I'm going to bring a dovetail into the palatal aspect. And right there's a little hole because it is rather thin on that section, but that's quite all right. As I suggested, I'm going to take and explore and just make sure that there's none of this debris staying on the inside of the provisional. Blow it out. And considering how long these teeth are, I think I'm going to extend this within the area where there's bulk a little bit further down here. And here. And a little bit more toward the front. And there we are. A class 2 box and occlusal extension on an anterior tooth. The other one. Now this one's a little easier because it's totally pontic. And there's a little bit right here of surface of the original tooth, because the fracture wasn't exactly dead center between the two. Part of the mesial surface of this one is still here. So I'm going to retain that. But I'm going to try to come as close as possible to that outer edge as I can. So this is a wider box to this class 2. And then I definitely want to come right up into this zone so that it is absolutely adjacent to the dovetail on its neighbor. Okay, and I'll try those in just a second. But one other thing I want to do is I have to do a marginal repair on the facial margin of number 7. And so for the composite to adhere to the existing surface, I'm going to roughen it up just a little bit so that it has a better chance of sticking to the substrate. In fact, here's a diamond for that, just to be positive. And there we are. Okay, now we'll go back to the mouth. After a little dusting, just to be certain that all the chips are gone. Okay, here we are. The first thing I did is to push, make certain that they're seated all the way. Close, please. Feel good? Mm-hmm. We're back in position?
Yeah.
Okie doke. That's very important because you'd hate to have any of them not seated fully and wind up with half the bridge hyper. Then after reuniting it, it might rock, or at the very least require a tremendous amount of adjustment. And we take a look in the mirror. And there we are with our adjacent preparations. Now, I happen to notice that on this one, my dovetail is a little bit more apical at this length right here. They line up very nicely on the gingival margin. So I'm just going to extend this up another millimeter just so that they are absolutely in line. If you didn't quite see that, oh, I'm sorry. Can you see it now?
Okay.
All right, to re-describe, I have to bring the preparation on number 9 up coronally on the outer border about a millimeter. So if you'd like to stay right there, I'll be right back. And can you see the extension?
Yes.
Excellent. All right, now what I will be doing is applying the restorative material simultaneously into both of the prepared receiving areas. It would be infinitely easier if this bridge were made from methyl methacrylate, because I could then simply take a paintbrush and bead and flow into both of these areas at the same time. Some people like to use composite provisional restorative materials, and that's what this bridge was constructed from. So I will be using that product to restore it. Unfortunately, for me to place in a somewhat flowable composite, it will be a little difficult for you to see what I'm doing, because I have to be certain that when I put it in the position, it doesn't dribble out. So I will do the best I can. If you can't see it, I'm so sorry, but after it's in position, I'm certain that I'll show you what it looks like. Are you filming?
Yes, I am.
Oh, how handy. And lower your head. Okay, and now I'm going to apply this to the facial of number 10. Slightly overbuild it into the area that was rougher. Alrighty, and we take a look in the mirror. We see that we have flowed the integrity composite into both of the adjacent preparations. Now it's currently over contoured, needs to be trimmed back for occlusion, but there are no voids at all with the pre-existing margins. It may be very difficult to see because it is indeed the same color. Alrighty. But we don't see any open areas, and where there was just this little open seam on the facial, you saw me flowing some in just to catch that as well. So now I'm going to let this rest until it's well set, and then we'll remove it. Okay, we're now ready to remove the bridge, and it has been in here for about 5 minutes, so it should be nice and solid. And in fact, I cheated. I checked it with an Explorer, but just so that you can see, it's nice and hard. Okay? So now that we all know that it's ready to remove, out it comes. Now once again, we have our 5-unit bridge. Now, if we take a look at this surface, you can close. If we look at this surface right here, it's a little over contoured and has to be brought in, and that will be done once again using our conventional materials for contouring. And if we look very carefully at this margin, you can actually read the facial margin in the composite, so the excess will be trimmed off right to this facial marginal line right here. So I'm going to do the trimming, and then I'll be back.
I'm going to see what these are all going to say, other outfits. All right, yeah. Okay. Now, we're down the stairs, so let's try something. Okay, all right.
But for those of you who want some words with this demonstration, might I recommend that you take a look at Dr. Bobbrick's tapes. Suppose I could say a few things. You just saw me using the little pointy diamond that I asked you to show me and bring out from time to time that you all claim doesn't exist in the kit. Amy, do we have articulating paper anywhere in the neighborhood? Good. Because I am going to confirm that the occlusion is comfortable. The especially nice thing about the intraoral repair technique is that it allows one to reestablish all of the proper external contours, in particular the periodontal contour and the gingival thirds. The excess contours have been removed from the palatal surface and indeed from the facial margin of tooth number 10. Everything needs the final finishing and polishing. We haven't done that yet, so don't get upset. All right, but let's try it in. And the first thing that we can notice is that we have nice contour on the repair, number 10. I mean 7. Flows right down with the margin. This whole area is filled in. And the entire bridge is seated fully. And we already know that we have a solid union between numbers 8 and 9. So now we must first just close down. How does it feel?
Good.
Feels fine? Considering that we have no occlusal contact on the area of the repair, there's no need to use the articulating paper. Folks, other than finishing and polishing, we're finished. So we'll be right back again in a moment. Here we are, the final product. The finish and polish of the repair is complete, as is the finish and polish of the marginal repair on tooth number 10. Once again, I mean 7. So now, inserted, all in one unit, seated fully, we have an aesthetic, periodontally appropriate, functional repair. Can you see? Can you just lower your head a little bit? Open real wide. Let me know when you've got the view.
Put the mirror up with you a little bit, right there.
Do you have the view?
Have it.
Very good. And the facial. All right, now close gown. And of course we have open contact in MIP, but slide forward, all the way out, and that's where you originally were hitting, here and here. So we're fine. Thank you very much.